As future engineers, we need tools that allow us to control problems and even be able to prevent possible undesirable scenarios, both in professional and personal life. A simple graph thousands of applications. In this graph, you can see the behavior of the pandemic in Guatemala. In this case, the cumulative cases confirmed versus death. And if you look at the month of November and December, you can conclude that the number of deaths is increasing again. This information was obtained from the Ministerio de Salud Pública de Guatemala. We are Group I, and we will talk about the scattered plots.
Visualization is important in the world of business. It always has been. It always will be. Human beings are visual learners by design, and sometimes people just get ideas better. Scatter plots are the perfect opportunity to visualize the important relationships that are all around us every day. What is a scatter plot? The scatter diagram is a technique used to examine the relationship between the axes x and y with one variable. The scatter plot studies the correlation between the important variables. One variable is plotted on the horizontal axis and the other plotted on the vertical axis. The pattern of their intersecting points can graphically show relationship patterns. The importance of a scatter diagram. Scatter plots are important in statistics because they can show the extent of correlation, if any, between the values of the observed quantity or phenomena.
Okay, my name is Sebastián Ralac Ixcoy, and I'm going to explain you the scatter plots and the relationship between variables. So, when we are plot a graph, we need to know the type of variables that we are to represent and what correlation fits to the chart. So when the coefficient r is closely to 1 or 1, we have an excellent data, and is represented by a linear correlation that can be positive or negative. And what means that the correlation can be positive or negative? So correlation is positive when the values increase together, and the correlation is negative when one value decreases and the other increases. But we also have the non or low correlated variables. This means that the correlation coefficient r squared is closely to 0, and we have to find a relationship that variables with an equation that fits to the chart. So there are two types of graphics, the exponential and the logarithmic regression. So the exponential regression is the processes of finding the equation of the exponential function that fights for a better set of data. And the logarithmic regression is an alternative when the linear model doesn't achieve an appropriate coefficient.
Okay, now that we know what the types of correlation are, we are ready to move on and look into more detail about how correlation works. Now, let me start with this statement. Correlation means that a relationship between two variables exists, but it doesn't imply that one variable is causing the other. Now, the question is how strong a relationship between two variables is. The answer to that question is may be provided by the coefficient of correlation. There are two coefficients of correlation widely known and used, which are R, the letter R, and squared R. Now let's start with R. or more commonly known as the coefficient of Pearson. The Pearson correlation coefficient measures the linear relationship between two variables. If the value of R is close to 1, that means that there is a strong linear relationship between the two variables. If the value of R is close to 1 or minus 1, the model is considered a good fit. If R is close to 0, the model is not a good fit. Now, if the value of R, or the Pearson correlation coefficient, is either 1 or minus 1, that means that the model is a perfect fit. This is with all the data points lying on the line. Now, last but not least, if the value of R is equal to 0, there is no linear relationship between the two variables at all. Now, on the other hand, we have the coefficient of the determination, or squared R. This coefficient measures how well a type of correlation fits the relationship between two variables. In other words, squared R tells us if the equation of a certain function, either logarithmic, exponential, or whatever it may be, fits a set of data, right? Okay, and now just as R, if the value of this determination coefficient is close to 1, the model is considered a good fit for the set of data. Now, now that we know these two coefficients, we're ready to determine what is the best model for a set of data.
In this video, we'll take a look at how to calculate the correlation coefficient in Microsoft Excel. Now, on your screen, here we have two variables: our study and exam grade. The number of, and that indicates the number of hours studied for an exam, and the exam grade, which is just percentage grade or an exam. Now we want to calculate the correlation between these two variables to see if there's relationship. To see if there's relationship, we want to go to the data and select the data analysis, and here we want to select correlation, and then click OK, and then for input range, what we want to do here is select of our variables, and I am going to go ahead and select the variables name is Aguilar. So check the mouse button down and select the cells. I want to be short signs. I select variables names of labs. The check the values in first blue box, then click OK. The row the correlation ship between grade and our study is 86. So we call for persons R equal 86. Thanks.
Overall, the scatter diagrams are perfect to visualize the relationships between data. This makes it a powerful tool to present complicated data. More specifically, a scatter plot is all about finding the correlation between two variables. It helps to determine how closely two particular ideas are related, or what tangible impact that one has on the other. The advantage is that if you can predict the behavior of your variables, you're also in an excellent position to turn your attention towards the future to get a better idea of what the future behavior may be. In conclusion, scatterplot is an excellent opportunity to visualize the important relationships that are all around us, especially when they are used in conjunction with other forms of collaterals that you are creating. They are certainly the type of opportunities that you definitely don't want to overlook.